I think. Hmm. Is this the way it should be? It's looking crooked. Is this crooked or is it just me? People, hello? Hmm. Are we having a problem here? I'm sideways. Why on earth is it streaming? Why on earth is it streaming in portrait mode? That is not what I want. Uh, okay. I don't want this to be streaming in portrait mode. Oh well, it's gonna go away anyway. I'm gonna unlist all the live streams afterwards anyway. Upside rearward. Whatever. I guess we'll do it this way. How's everyone doing? Was less scary the other way. Well, I apologize. Maybe if I had taken my time a little better setting this thing up. But I can't do that. I mean, that's crazy talk, right? Hello, James Alvarado, Bargle 5, Novice Artisan, John McCann, Miles Forge. Did I see? There's a Mark Centenay, Cone Dodger, hello. Dustin Brosmer. How's everyone doing? So we're just gonna have a chit chat. I guess this is how we're gonna do it now. We're gonna rotate it crooked. Is everyone having a good weekend? I just heard a horn beep. How the heck are you? I'm doing well. Slightly hectic. The last couple weekends have been very hectic for like family reasons, not for anything like related to YouTube. Good. Going to tidy up a bit. That's good. Workshop has no space other than a 2-foot wide strip. Well, that's a problem. I mean, the space behind me here is fairly open. I can get all the way to the back there. You can see my cleat wall. And the space like to that way is also fairly open. No floor space. And I can get to the van now, which is nice. Cleared that out about 2 weeks ago. And there's my furnace. Planer, various other things. Made progress on a workbench. That's good. Workbenches are very helpful. I think I need like 1 or 2 more workbenches. So much space. Yeah, it is. I mean, especially considering there's a giant van in here. It also helps that like I have all these shelves that you saw me make. A lot of stuff's up on the shelves, a lot of stuff around the cleats, and then up there is an attic, and there's like tons of space up there. Like I can walk around the whole bunch of like space. I can fit tons of like floor joists because it's not like a floor. It's not. There's no second floor in the house. It's like kind of 2x4s and they're spread way out, and the drywall's not that thick, so it's a little bit risky, moving a bunch of stuff up there. But I'm not gonna put anything heavy, like nothing I can't carry in one arm while I go up the ladder. That's how we're gonna do it. Jack Levine, hello. So I wanted today to just talk about how things are going from now, like I guess now on for the channel. You may have noticed the rate has picked up a lot. The video production has picked up a lot. What I'm going to do, my goal anyway, is videos most of the time. Most weeks I'll have a video. If I don't have a video, I'll do a live stream. I might do a live stream and a video on the same weekend, kind of depending. The reason we don't have a video this weekend and I did a live stream is because, like I said, things have been really busy the last couple weekends with one of my kids is into like a bunch of things, and it was just kind of busy. And I thought, well, I could race out a video, and I could have, but it wouldn't be that good, and I kind of don't want to race one out and not have it that good. So I'm just gonna do a breather, and I'll have the video on Friday, and that'll be very interesting. Seems like you're gaining mastery more of fire. Well, I hope so. I'm trying. Paul the Texan. Hello from another Paul. How are you? How's Texas? Got a space like that on my workshop just discovered. Maybe have a ceiling door to it. Only a window outside high up. Well, if you have a window, you should be able to get up there, right? I don't have any windows high up. My roof is pitched. There's no windows. There's no skylights. There's nothing. Jack, have it snow here yet? No snow where I am. We haven't had snow in a while. We have rain and ice. I really don't like the streaming this aspect ratio. I'm a more traditionalist. I want the wide, but then I'd have to like shut down the stream and start another one, and that's just a pain. With the ladder, yeah, I only went up there last week. Found a ton of blacksmithing tools. Well, that's good. The previous owner of this place wasn't really into handyman stuff, I don't think all that much. And what he did was all, it looked like it was all in his garage. It's like if you got this big of a garage, why bother like building up into the attic too? I'm just putting like boxes, like empty boxes up there. Um, Found one of the boxes for this thing up there. Cone Dodger, if you're around. I found the box. Bought a house last May. It's from 1888. Nice. First owner was a blacksmith. That's awesome. That is pretty awesome. The first owner of this place is the guy I bought it from because this house isn't that old. It's only about 20 years old. Have you considered casting a cast iron bedrock hand plane? I have not. I mean, I've thought about casting plane bodies. Like if you watch Chirpy's videos, he cast not like a big one, but like a little like a pattern maker's plane in bronze, and that was pretty cool. And I got a bedrock somewhere over there. I have a rip off of a bedrock number 5 that's pretty awesome. But my furnace will do cast iron, no problem. But the thing is, I don't think my sand will do cast iron. It's oil bonded, and cast iron sand tends to be a little different. It has like charcoal dust and some other stuff in it. I don't know if Petrobond would handle it. And then I don't have a lot of machine tools to like machine it nice. And all the effort to put in, I would probably end up just like buying one. It would probably work better because I'd have to buy a blade anyway, probably. Uh, just put a video of all the stuff you found around there. That's really interesting. So they're like over 100-year-old blacksmith tools because that would be pretty cool. Only doing black and bladesmithing. Well, I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? Because if you keep expanding like more and more and more and more, like try something else, try casting, and then oh well, there's a lot of different kinds of casting. We'll do sand casting and then investment casting, and like you could try something new every month and not get to the end before you're dead. So in my opinion, like what I'm trying to do is focus on like what I want to make and then how best to make that thing. And if I need to learn a new form of making something, then I'll learn that form of making something at that point. Made some from normal play sand, filter it, mesh screen, blended bentonite powder. Well, the thing with most cast iron sand tends to be a little coarser and also has to have other additives for the temperature. I think coal dust is the main one that I saw. Although I mean there might be new versions because all the 40-year-old books and a lot of things have happened since then. There might just be an off the shelf green sand that you can just cast iron real easy. I don't know. Have not looked into it. Although I think when I did the bronze and wood test, I think the temperature I had it up to was like iron temperature because I way overheated it. Another thing I'm trying to work on, overheating the metal really badly. The only thing I'll mention about sand, there's more than one kind of sand. So like for making concrete, there's sand for making concrete and they're running out of it because the concrete sand is like beach sand, you know? Desert sand is no good. And the difference is if you like microscopically look at it, beach sand is a little bit more jaggedy and desert sand is like round balls because blowing all over the place. And the round balls don't hold together. So if you have like an hourglass, you want desert sand for that because it flows through the little hole. If you're making concrete, you want beach sand. Well, if you're doing green sand, like making stuff for like green sand, like metal casting, you want those particles to hold together. So you can't just use any sand. And depending what kind of sand you buy, you might have one or the other, you know? There's a Clara Bison. Hope you're doing well. Hello. Bob, can you cast small 6-in-1 bedrock, which is never made and sell them on eBay? That might be interesting. I mean, if you can 3D model, there's like a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of cool planes that are like ultra expensive. I think like what is it? A number 9 is a weird like miter plane, and they're crazy expensive if you can find one. Like if you and there were like I think Lee Nielsen made some more recently, and even those like used are like $1,500 or something insane. And those are small. They're only like this, and they got like the handle at the back, kind of thing. They're kind of neat. I don't have a need for one though, because I have a couple of like I for miters I use like a little block plane. Uh, Want to do some basic casting for knife bolsters, jewelry, etc. Yeah, jewelry casting is pretty interesting. So I'm building up vacuum casting stuff right now. That's what the chamber was step one, the vacuum chamber. That was to make sure that my vacuum pump works. And you need to use a vacuum chamber to degas the plaster, the investment plaster. So I'm working on it. Take all of Florida's sand. Less Florida makes the world a better place. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I think like the very best sand is actually sand that you grind yourself because even beach sand has been eroded somewhat. But if you take like gravel or something and grind it, have like a large grinder, like a grinding stone. I think Old Foundry Man uses a big grinder stone. He grinds really, really fine sand for his facing sand. That would hold even better because when you grind it, there was no erosion rounding off the corners. They're all sharp. And I have a theory that moon dust, moon regolith would be the very, very best. I don't know chemically what it's made up for though. Do you have crucible tongs? I have a few. Yeah, I think I have two. I have a uh, one of them was really close. Hold on. One of them was within reach. I use these ones. These are just single piece crucible. They fit. You know, if I go in like this, they're shaped. I can go in like this underneath and pick it up. So, but this only works for one size crucible unless I bend them, which I do like every time I switch crucibles. There's another pair hanging. You can't see them. I made these. I mean, this is just straight thing bent and then, you know, welded on. And then hanging right there, which is really difficult to see, are kinds of like chompers that like pick up a much larger crucible. I have a video on those not too long ago, maybe a year ago. I made those ones too. They're cheap. I mean, they're easy enough to make. Have you considered casting archaeological replicas? Perhaps the Piltdown Man. A Piltdown Man like in metal? That would be funny. Well, I did do this one. This is from a video a long time ago. Ugh. This is a spear. Remember this? This is aluminum bronze. So if you want to know what aluminum bronze looks like after years of just sitting around and using it to cut open boxes and stuff, and sitting next to a bag of pool chlorine, this is what it looks like. It doesn't have the shiny gold anymore. There's like a faint green tinge. And then along the tip, I don't know if you can see that very clearly, there's a little bit of a bronze coloration. This phone doesn't have a very good macro lens to it. Can't get it to focus. Anyways, that was cast from a 3D scan of a Bronze Age spear on My Mini Factory. So they have that scan the world or whatever, where they scan a bunch of old archaeological artifacts. That's where that file came from. Obviously, the original wasn't in aluminum bronze. Definitely usable for iron. Ceramic shell castings. Well, maybe eventually. I'm going to do vacuum casting first. I don't know. Does vacuum casting investment, is that rated for iron temperature? I'm not sure. Definitely bronze temperature. Volcanic pumice. That might be interesting. Like grind that up as a sand or something. You made a twin. You made one of these. These you can just download this file. You know, the file's on My Mini Factory. It's free. Made a video of it. Made a short. I made the video where I made this. I made that video into a short, and it was like, it got like 2 million hits. And I made a whole like 95 cents from that 2.5 million hits on one short. So I'm not making a lot of shorts these days. I wanted to forge some crucible tongs. Well, that would be pretty cool. Currently, I have enough crucible tongs. I mean, all of my crucible tongs are kind of like, you know, rickety. No, the crucible holder. Okay, this thing. You made the one of this. This is pretty simple. I didn't even come up with this idea. I took it from some other YouTuber who haven't seen his videos in a long time. He's a guy who like dumped a bunch of molten copper on like a big block of ice and it blew up and injured him. It's like, yeah, that's not a good idea. You ended up with flakes during your vacuum casting. You need a vacuum casting vacuum. Yeah, that's true. It might be very messy. Need to buy higher grades made for iron. The regular stuff won't work right. Yeah, well, that's the thing because most of that investment plaster, it's the vacuum plaster is porous. So like when you pull a vacuum, it's sucking air through it. And I don't know, like for jewelry and stuff, it's like silver and gold, right? And silver and gold is like the same temperature range ish as bronze, so like it's not a problem. But iron's like 500 degrees hotter than that, and it's 500 degrees. I mean, you push it 50 degrees, no problem. Push it 500, then you start having problems. Uh, you hate shorts. Yeah, I mean they're kind of like most of them have no point. Like why? I just got bored one day and thought, I can cut this video down into a short. So I tried it. I cut it into a short and it worked. And then it blew up, but like 95% of the video, the views were from like Russia and Indonesia. And like that was weird. Like hardly anybody watched in the US, but I think like it was like Russia, Indonesia, and India were the three biggest countries that so like that and that one short skewed my analytics. So it said like everybody who watched my channel was like in Russia and India. And that's just because of that one short. Like most of my long form videos are people in the US, like two-thirds of the audience in the US, which makes sense because I'm in the US and I speak English. But I guess like in India and Indonesia, a lot of people speak English, and in Russia, I don't know how many people speak English in Russia, but that short didn't have any words on it, so it really didn't matter. It's kind of irrelevant. Uh, would love to forward you something in general, inspiration. Well, I'm glad I've inspired you. Hopefully I haven't inspired you to do anything too stupid because that's a lot of the stuff that I've been doing. Cone Dodger's more of a pants guy. Yeah, well, that's what I'm wearing right now. Even though I got this garage heated, I can just like before I come out here, like half hour before, I just turn the thermostat on. Now it's like 70 degrees. So it's not that cold out anyway. It's like 50 degrees here. It's pretty warm. Kind of weird for the time of year. Like one of my kids was born roughly this time of year, like many years ago. And I remember leaving the hospital and it was 10 below zero. And like the car we had at the time, it had a Cone Dodge, you'll know this, had an SR20 DE engine. It was an Infinity G20. And when you start up an SR20 engine and it's 10 below zero, it sounds like your engine is full of marbles. Like the piston slap is terrible. It seriously sounded like a grinder, like just like shaking like crazy. It barely turned over anyway. Ceramic shell casting is best for iron. Lets you do absolutely massive projects. No other method can. Could probably do a full lathe that way. Yeah, I mean that's the nice thing about the ceramic shell. I mean it seems like a lot of extra steps, just like vacuum casting, but it's very different. And if you see in the back there, do you like my shop light? It's a gas can with a light shining through it. LED light. It's not hot. That's my like like you see like YouTube setups. They'll have like a background way back there, and they'll have like a neon light. I don't have a neon light, so I have a gas can with a light spotlight shining through it. Good enough, right? Well, that's sitting on top of a giant kiln. So it's got like a 2.5, 3 foot tall and like foot and a half diameter section. So I could do massive ceramic burnout if I needed to. But that's in the future. I don't have a need for that soon, but maybe eventually. Uh, you could probably do a full lathe. I mean, I can do a lathe bed. You can do a pretty big sand casting. See, this is what I hate about this vertical thing. I can't lean back and show you like size. But I would need a lot more sand, I think, to do something that big. Uh, Eric just started casting to help with PTSD and teach others. Thanks for your wit and instructions. Hey, my pleasure. Glad to help. I think that's a great idea. I mean, cope with PTSD, help you get through it, teach others. I mean, teaching is a great thing for anything because it's very fulfilling. And I think casting and any form of making stuff, I think would be great for therapy purposes for a lot of stuff because you get to do something with your hands, get to focus your mind on a task, get to solve a problem. In the end, you learn something, which is great, and you can say, like, look, I made this thing. Isn't this cool? I mean, this is a spear that I'm never going to use for anything in my life other than cutting down boxes, and it does really well at that. So, I mean, maybe I could clean this up and put a handle on and use it as like a knife for cutting down boxes. I don't know. It's still cool, right? It's still a cool thing. I think more people in general should be able to make things. It would be more fun, I think. People would feel a little more fulfilled if they worked with their hands a bit. Maybe not so great with all like the scars that I got all over my hands. That's not such a great thing. But I mean, if your hands are clean, maybe that's a sign you got to do some stuff. Between the pistons and rockers and timing chains, pretty much like bolts in a blender. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And not only was an SR20 and 10 below zero, it was a very worn out SR20, which would be like all of them that are still around. I did like that car though. That was a neat car. Too bad it was completely destroyed and rusting in half when we finally got rid of it. Sold it for like 500 bucks. Hello there, Ralph. Novice Artisan. I think I already said hi to Novice Artisan. Bob, if you lived back in Dorchester, we wouldn't have the space to do casting. Yeah, I mean, I lived in Dorchester. I lived in Dorchester for 1 year, and then I lived in Quincy for 2. And in Quincy, I had a garage. My apartment had a garage. That was nice. Well, I had a garage, but that's because there's no way I could walk to a bus or a train station. So they're like, if you're gonna live here, you can't go anywhere without a car. So we have to give you a garage and like a parking spot. It was a very nice apartment, but like even on a nice day, if I had 3 hours, I might be able to walk to the train station if I was okay with running across the interstate. That's the only way I could get anywhere. Uh, Eric says exactly. I don't know what you're saying exactly to. The doing stuff with your hands. Randy, definite therapeutic value. Refer to the general category forging casting as fire therapy. Yeah, there you go. I mean, and you get to play with fire, which is fun, right? So you have fun, you learn something, you overcome a challenge, you end up with a product, and you say, "I made this thing," and it just feels good. What do you know? Hello, hey, greetings from the Netherlands. How you doing? How is it in the Netherlands? It's probably pretty late in the day, right? I mean, it's afternoon here. I'm trying to like mix up the times. Here's something I should ask you people. Should I mix up the times that I do live streams? Because I'm trying to like make sure they're not all 10 p.m. on a Sunday. Or should I make it regular so that people can think, oh, there will probably be a stream at this time, and you can like plan for it. Which one? Which one should I do? Because I know people do it either way. But like I don't plan on doing one of these like twice a week or something like some people do. Scars suck, but they're pretty cool after the fact. Yeah, they do suck to get. See, the thing is, I get the feeling in these 3 fingers all the way back. This hand, I also had surgery there, but it wasn't as bad to begin with. So I got pretty much everything back in this hand. This hand, these are still, like if you have an incision and you touch it after the fact, you can feel it's kind of tingly and dull, like you lost some of the feeling because they slice through the nerves to get through the skin. Well, I have that permanently on these 3 fingers. So when I say lose skin off the back of that knuckle, that's mostly healed now. I barely felt that. So that's kind of nice. But then on this hand, when I got that nice slice and flap of skin, I felt that because this hand's got all its feeling. So like, is it a good thing that I have dulled feeling because it doesn't hurt? Or is it a bad thing because I'll cut myself and I won't even know? Regular, whatever this time is now. 2:15 p.m. on every Sunday. I'd prefer a regular time. Okay, so I'll have to check with my schedule and whatever and see what would work as a regular time, because I would like to do this regularly also. And I'm probably going to keep. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna unlist all the live streams afterwards also, but I'm going to make a playlist, a live stream playback playlist. I already have one. I'm just going to be better about unlisting them and then putting them in the playlist after the fact. You and SW Dweeb have taught me so much. Keep rambling and keep watching. I will do so. 442. That's a good name. I like those cards. I had little Hot Wheels of like the original like Cutlass 442, yellow with like black stripes. That was one of my favorite Hot Wheels cars. I would assume a regular time would get more consistent viewers. That's probably true. It's a bad thing to lose feeling. Well, I lost it in my right hand. So like holding like a pencil, because like you hold it with the 3 fingers that nerve goes to, that gets pinched when you have carpal tunnel. So my handwriting is terrible, but it was already terrible. But like now I'll occasionally drop the pencil that I'm holding or the screwdriver or something. But it's not that big of a deal. I would be more upset if I lost feeling in my left hand. I'm right-handed, but I play violin, and your right hand, all the fingers work together because you're on the bow. They all work together. So I can lose little feeling. Your left hand, each finger is individual because that's the ones you're touching the notes. I mean, same goes for guitar, right? So if I lost any of the control in these fingers, I would be much more in trouble than if I lost it in these. I know some people they end up with tendonitis or something coming up through here, or sometimes up in here, and they have to switch hands and they have to like relearn how to play. That would be miserable. I would rather not do that. SW Dweeb, by the way, he doesn't post very regular anymore. I'm kind of sad about that. But like, we do like message each other, because like I think one of the vacuum when I started talking about vacuum casting and built the vacuum chamber, he like we texted back and forth a couple of times. Uh, Works better for me this ish time because you're in the UK, 8:40 p.m. right now. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. So the reason I just decided to do it right now, even though it would be more convenient for me to do it later, is because one of the things in analytics that it gives you is what time, like the weeks, like the day of the week, and what time of day most of your viewers are on YouTube. And most of my viewers are on YouTube Sunday between like 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. That's like the largest bulk of them are on YouTube at the same time. So I thought it might just work. I then didn't announce it early enough, so no one knew this was coming, which might be a problem, but I don't do everything right. And yeah, you're a guitarist. Left is more important to me. Yeah, I mean, I have a guitar. I would love to learn. I got a guitar, a nice one, and then I got a book on like, because like I can already read music, and I already have like the left hand finger thing. And whenever you're sitting in orchestra and you're not playing, I'm just like sitting there like fingering and plucking the notes quietly. And so it was pretty quick for me to get the fingering right for the notes. And then I got to the end of the book and I didn't have the next book, and and I put it away. And it's in a case. It's either here, it's at my parents' house or something. The guitar I only have one guitar. I got a bunch of violins, but I have one guitar. I think it's a Gibson Les Paul Studio. So it's not like a super fancy pants one, but it's a better guitar than I have any right to have. That's for sure. Dropping in just now, it sounds like tendon tunnel syndrome. I had carpal tunnel in both hands, and I've had the surgery in both. I know a bunch of people who have had tendon problems. I had one violin teacher. He was a professional violinist, like touring professional, and he screwed up something in his right arm. And every time he tried to do an up bow, his wrist would shake. He couldn't play anymore. It just like took him out. Consider restyling the gingery lathe to look less primitive. Yes, you're right on. I had that exact idea, and that's partly why I'm doing it in Zamek, and I'm making a vacuum casting setup. So the bed, I'm just going to make the bed straight gingery lathe bed, but everything else, I'm thinking of redoing the model, like 3D printing it, but cooler looking. And some of the parts I want to make them a little more ornate and do some other cool stuff. And I don't want to like sit there and like engrave or whatever. I just want to be able to like print, cast it, and it look cooler. The one thing that I'm still trying to work out is how am I going to do the framing with like, because there's like a frame and there's like the belt and the motor, and you can like move the frame in, and that's just like welded together angle iron. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make that look cooler. But it's a while. Welcome. Still a decent, yeah, I mean, a decent guitar. Because like that's one thing I learned with violin. A cheapo violin is still pretty expensive, but it's going to get in your way. You know, didn't want to buy a cheapo guitar that like I would have trouble learning to play guitar because the instrument wasn't good enough, you know? Because like when you get to like higher levels of violin, you can't have like a $500 violin. It has to be a few grand, or it's there's going to be something wrong with it that holds you back, you know? So I just kind of jumped straight to the Gibson guitar. Figured that was good enough. Feral Moon Designs, hello, greetings. Feral Moon Designs, by the way, he makes models like they're like plasticine, like oven baked clay models. I've never tried those, but they look really cool. Then paints them up. It's another example of another form of making stuff that I haven't learned, but I would like to eventually. Christ Under Ironworks. Hello, Roy. Another maker of a different kind. He's a blacksmith. If you like blacksmiths, go check him out for sure too. Tommy Iommi learned to play left-handed after getting his fingertips lopped off. I did not know that. I didn't know he played left-handed. I thought like, didn't what's his name? Dude, big hair. I thought he played left-handed, but he played a right-handed guitar. What's his name? Someone fill me in here. Jimi Hendrix, that's his name. I think he played left-handed guitar, but he played a right-handed guitar. So instead of the strings closest to your hand being the high-pitched strings, they were the low-pitched strings, so he's a little backwards. Obviously it worked, because he's freaking Jimi Hendrix. Of course it worked. Scrolls make everything look cooler. Yeah, I agree. So I'm thinking like, because I'm trying to learn like Blender, right? And you can do mesh modeling in that. So I have some of the parts modeled up in Fusion 360, but that's like parametric. And then I can put that into Blender and do like some sculpting or something. And then I'll just print that and cast that. And from what I hear, Zamek flows like water and picks up all the details really well. And if I do like vacuum casting, then I could do like the bearing caps and stuff. They don't have to just be blocks with holes drilled in them. I can make them like look really cool, and I don't even have to worry about draft. Like you can cast in the plaster, don't worry at all about draft. That's another thing I like about investment casting. You don't have to worry. Nothing have to have draft. You don't have to pull it out. You melt it out. Love that you play violin. Ever thought of streaming it? No, I haven't. I'm not sure that's a good idea. I played violin uh, up until COVID started. When COVID hit, all the gigs kind of dried up. And by the end of that, like now I could go back to playing, but now I have a baby, and it's not just the baby. I got two other kids. It's a little less free time. And then after like a couple of years of not playing, like I have tried playing recently because a friend of mine wanted to start like a wedding trio. Because he's like, dude, I played my cello at a wedding, played 3 songs, made $200. We should start a trio. And I'm like, yes, we should. That sounds excellent. It hasn't got off the ground yet, but like I tried playing again. I'm like, my fingers are full of rust. They don't want to move right now. So there's a while to get back in here. Django Reinhardt played with an injured left hand. Yeah, I mean there are people out there. You realize like when you get like further along as a musician, your hands do get kind of screwed up. I don't know a single violinist with like perfectly nice hands and all their joints work fine, but you just adapt and move forward. Marty, hello. I'm doing well. How are you? Tobo's here. Hello. Often going against convention, other people's expectations can give unexpected results. Yeah, I mean, I think the best quote I heard recently was uh, like normal people have average results or something. So don't be afraid to not be normal because normal is unremarkable. I don't have a choice. I have to not be normal. I'm not a normal person. Not that I'm going to be remarkable, but I'm certainly not going to be, normal. Love Zamek and zinc, great details, also castable in silicone. Yeah, that's another thing I heard. I mean, that's another use of that vacuum chamber. And I've seen people either pour into the silicone or someone even tried injecting like with pressure into silicone. I don't know how that would work because the pressure would like bow out the silicone, right? And you would have like it would mess with the shape. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm buying like a bunch of Zamek because I'm trying to buy enough to build the whole lathe at once, and then we'll see. Investment casting is amazing, good for that. Every single fingerprint is as sharp edge as you can make. That's really cool. I'm really interested in that because sand casting. I mean, it's nice and you can make really big things, but there's a limit to the detail. I mean, with Petrobond, I get like wood grain off the patterns and that stuff, so it's good. That's pretty good detail, but you can't like no undercuts and like a bunch of other rules. Um, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Tried multiple times through my life to pick up guitar. Fingers don't want to cooperate with the frets and placement. Yeah, frets hurt. Like that's one thing I learned. So like playing violin, there's no frets and the strings are short and they're not under a crazy amount of tension. So it doesn't hurt your fingers to push them down to the fingerboard. Guitar is very different. That hurts. Like you really need the calluses. Like I had friends in school where like they played like cello and bass and they had big calluses and sausage fingers. Like violin, you don't need that. And like like through high school, I was using gut strings on my violin too, so there's even less pressure. Eventually, I might. Who knows? Roy, hey, I'm not. Hey, I'm normal. Well, maybe not. Yeah, I don't know if being a blacksmith is all that normal these days. That might exclude you to begin with. I think I'm learning more and more people my age just using your hands is not very normal. But who knows? You'd reinforce the silicone with an outer shell made of plaster. The fiberglass resin hold the shape when casting big heavy things. That's a good idea. I mean, reinforce like that would stop like the whole thing from just bleh. But there's still like between the shell and the silicone inside, there's still like a little bit of spring, right? Because I don't have it nearby, but the piece of silicone, that seal that I use is only 1/8 of an inch, and I can still feel a little squeeze with my fingers if I like push hard enough. I have a bunch more of that too. Let's see. Here's the piece I cut out of the inside. So the thing with vacuum casting is usually you have a flask and it fits through and it like seals the chamber with a piece of silicone. So I can like use this to make the seal. But that's got a thickness to it. Decent, I think. I mean, the thing said 1/8 inch, but it's probably some couple of millimeters, some metric measurement, and I can like squeeze it with my fingers. So make using your hands normal again. Amen to that. That is definitely true. Flashy Flash, always wanted to try violin, play a little guitar. You should, it's fun. I'd like to try pretty much every instrument out there. Just violin's the one I played through high school and college and after. You know, and every instrument has its own uniqueness to it, for sure. And I think they're all good to learn. I would say learning violin later in life is probably more difficult than learning some other instruments, mainly because the posture is not ergonomic. It is horrible. It will like your left arm. Hold your left arm out in front of you, not like straight out, but a little to the side. Twist your arm around and try to look down the back of your hand. Can you feel the tension through here and even up here? You feel that the whole time you're playing violin. And you see, it gets worse when you're trying to learn because people don't get the posture quite right and they end up cranking their wrist like that. Just try to do that and try to feel your arm not like break. Like that, it's just terrible. That's why so many people get like tendonitis and stuff because there's no ergonomics with violin at all. But you should be able to hold the instrument up with your head, just the weight of your head, and then you just have to twist your arm around. But if you do it like from birth, from young age, it's not a problem. As long as you have good posture. If you have the wrong posture, you're definitely going to cause tendonitis. No tension for me feels comfortable. Then go for it. Can't even bend your arm around that way. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. A lot of people can look at their hand and get a little further, but you got to go even further, and then you have to be able to move your fingers freely and independently of each other. And not a lot of people can do that without like major like pain and neck, and then you end up getting like a hickey right here. Call it a violin hickey. It's a big red spot and like a callus, but on the bottom of your chin, because that's where the weight of your head has to hold the thing up. Chin rest. Yeah, well, it depends. It depends a lot on how long your bow arm is. So I know some short people. My violin professor in college was like 5 foot tall, like 5 foot even, short arms. And if you have the thing here and you go all the way out, she still had like this much more of the bow left, that her arm just wasn't long enough to get it out there. So if the chin rest is in the middle, the violin's sliding out this way, and you get to use that last few inches. That's the main reason for a center one. I think electric violin is sweet. I got an electric violin, pretty nice. Depends on which one though, because I've tried a couple of them that were really heavy, and you don't want heavy, you want lightweight. Read somewhere one luthier was trying to get viola players to play with the viola on their knees like a small cello. Yeah, there was another version. There was like another version of those instruments built on the violin. So the reason the cello is bigger and the viola is bigger is because the pitch is lower, and lower pitches have longer wavelengths, so the instrument body has to be longer to optimize for that. And people are too small to play the viola that's the right size. They would just be too big. So if you make it big enough, it would be like a small cello, and you play it between your legs. And they had 8 instrument divisions, so there's like an even smaller version of the violin, and like it was way too complicated. It will never catch on, but it was a cool idea. They also made them like smaller, made like the walls thinner and the instrument wider, so you have the same volume inside with a larger soundboard, so it'd have more powerful sound. And it's never going to catch on, but it's a cool idea. Maybe hold on a second. I'm just going to walk over here quick. I thought I heard noise coming from inside. Just going to make sure, the world isn't over. The world isn't ending in here. How's it going? Oh, no, it's good. I hear Kerbal Space Program noises. Someone's building a rocket. I just have the door open. That's why I can hear it. But everything's good. So, is everyone ready to throw up after me carrying the camera like that? I cannot pronounce that name, an orchestra. Man, it's been a long time since I was in an orchestra. My old conductor of the orchestra I was in college, that dude was a viola player, and he almost had a big enough viola. So violins are all the right size. Full-size violin is the right size for the pitch, but it's too small for a human to play ergonomically. The right size viola is 19 and a half inches. They're measured in inches of the body, and most people play like 16, 17 inch. My orchestra conductor in college played like, I think he played an 18 and a half inch viola. The thing was gigantic, but the dude was like 6'8", and like he looked like a bear. He was huge, big, like thick hair that just grew straight out, and big dude. He played viola. The problem with your orchestra conductor playing the instrument that you play is you can't fake it. They can tell. Kerbal Space Program. Yeah, we have not told him about Kerbal Space Program 2. He loves Kerbal Space Program 1, but I got 2 and I put it on my computer and I tried it out, my big desktop, and it crashes like half the time. So I don't want to give him the second one yet because it's not going to work and he's going to get really frustrated, you know? You know what? I just realized I set up my light here and I never turned it on. My bad. Some good camera work for me. There's that better? More light? I don't know if it makes a difference. You could tell me. Knew a viola player. They look down on violin players. Interesting. Most of the violin players I know or viola players I know were violin players who switched because the viola job market is much less competitive. I wouldn't attempt cast iron and Petrobond. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. Herd 2 is a bit disappointing in its current state. So the thing with Kerbal Space Program 2 is that this is the very first version of pre-release. And the very first version of Kerbal Space Program 1 pre-release was also garbage. It didn't work. It barely had any features. Like it didn't even have the moon in it. Like it was just a planet and a few parts. And it chugged along at like 5 frames per second. It was bad. And this is much better than that. And it's the very first version. Like the first game was in pre-release for like 3 or 4 or 5 years, something crazy like that. Like, of course it's an unfinished game. Like that's what you sign up for. How long is your live stream? I don't know. It'll probably end fairly soon. Would you ever cast a violin? I cast when I was in high school. I took a metals class and I made one about that big. Made it in jeweler's wax, and then I think it's at my parents' house, and I made a case for it too. A case with the lid open. I could set it in there. Probably get some olivine green sand. Yeah, I mean that's probably what I would do. I don't think I want to go through the hassle of like mixing my own when you can probably buy stuff that's better. Never got into Kerbal, mostly played Astroneer. I've never tried Astroneer. It seems like an interesting game. It's just, I haven't had time to play games like a lot in probably the last 5 years. So most of the games that I've played a lot are like Kerbal Space Program when like it was still prior to 1.0. Like that's most of my video gaming was like near the beginning of like Kerbal Space Program 1.0 was around the time I stopped playing a lot of video games. They finally fixed Kerbal Space Program and made it 2. Kind of. I mean, the first one still has a lot of bugs, but it's mostly functional. It works fine as a game. 2 is 80% bug, and most of it's not there yet. Never played it myself. No, that goes. Good old Ark is arguably still a mess. Yeah, I mean, it probably will be too. But they're going to keep adding more cool stuff to the mess. It's a constant work in progress. That's the way the first one was. And then when they did get it to work, I just started adding mods until it crippled the game again and it didn't work. Because, that's fun. Olivine green sand, higher heat resistance, no silicosis risk. That's good. I know some people on the Discord keep saying they use olivine green sand. And that sounds like a good thing to try. I know silicosis risk. I mean, that's always a problem with like powderized stuff. I have bags somewhere, like many pounds of pure like powder, like 325 mesh silica, like just straight up silica powder. It looks like it's like flour. You do not want to breathe that stuff in. That's mostly for mixing pottery glaze and stuff. This glaze has to be full of silica or it's not gonna work. It needs to be glassy. I mean, you can add silica or you can add something else. Like this, I made this glaze, and that was made from a local clay mixed with feldspar. Last you played video games was on a Commodore 64. Nice. I've never tried a Commodore 64. Astring is fun. Keep adding more fun to the mess. Yeah, I mean that's good. Nerds. Yes, funny you say that. My Minecraft skin for the longest time was me wearing a blue shirt with red letters nerd on it. Use malachite in place of silica. That would work. I think this wasn't feldspar. It was nephthalene cyanide, which is a feldspathic stone with a lot of silica in it. Have you harvested new house clay yet, Powers? No, I have not. According to the USGS website, it's the same kind of clay here as it was in my last house. We're not that far away, and we're kind of on the same like plane, so I think it's the same. I still have a lot more of this stuff left, so I just haven't tried it yet. Zircon green sand also good for high heat, but does have silicosis risk. I mean, how risky is it? If you're careful, you have ventilation, wear a respirator, and don't do anything indoors. Keep it all outside. 32 other game consoles. That's a lot of game consoles. Commodore 64. I mean, I don't have many of them here, but my parents have a whole bunch of them at their house. Oh, I hear noise. Might have to end the stream here. You have a Discord. I do have a Discord. It's in the link. The link is in the description of like every video. So if you find the link in the video description, you can join. It's free for everyone. You don't need to like do anything special. I know some people have like you need to be a patron of Discord. Nah, everyone can join. I don't. When was the last console? The last game console I had, I think, was a PS3, and not the slim one. I had the chunk one, the big chunk one with the Spider-Man font on it. Never did get a PS4. Never got a PS5. Never had an Xbox or a GameCube. I haven't even used, like the last time I moved, I didn't take the PS3 out of the box. And then I moved here and I still haven't taken it out of the box. I don't even know if it still works. Probably doesn't. Been fun revisiting old games. Yeah, that is kind of fun. I mean, I like I'll watch a video of someone playing the old game and I'll say, oh, that's cool. And then I won't play it. You still kind of get like the experience. You can watch and you get that's cool. You get the cool like nostalgia, but without having to pull like the Atari out of the box and figure out why it's not working and then where did the charging cord go, like the power cord, and all that. But we might maybe we'll get an emulator at some point. See, the thing is, my dad has all the old systems, and my brother has kids that are like young teenage age, and they're into video games, right? So my dad was like Nintendo and see what they think, and he plugged it in like T screens, and the kids were like, oh cool, for like 5 minutes, and then they shut it down and never touched it again. So like, it's all pixely, it looks terrible, and this controller is awkward. Like, yeah, it is. That's how things used to be. Be glad you're in modern times. I'm hearing noise again. Whoops. Walking. I might have to end the stream, people. Hello? Oh no. Back to Kerbal Space Program noises. Maybe not. I'll probably end in a couple minutes anyway. I don't need to stream no more than an hour. I do have stuff to record for more videos. Cone Dodger, if you're still around, I found the box for that. Just going to mention it. This is the drum you want for stripping thick paint off of old trucks. The black one. Ugh. Kids these days, that's right. They don't know how good they got it. Or maybe they don't have it good because they don't get to experience joystick and single button for every single game. Check out PCM, a new hardware emulator, runs old software. That's pretty interesting. I remember one time I had a PlayStation emulator, but it was like a program for your computer where you put the PlayStation discs that you already owned in your computer and you could play it on the computer. And my takeaway was it's not as good as just using a PlayStation because you can't use your PlayStation controller on a computer. I don't know. Yeah. And finished games. Yeah, there's no finished games anymore. You know, have you ever noticed that? Everything's in pre-release forever, and then it's fully released, And then they still change it all the time, you know. But I mean, it's kind of a good thing because it used to be when you bought a game and it was terrible, it just stayed terrible. Now, if you buy a game and it's depressing, 2 years later, it's a different game. It might be better, you know, or if it is good, it's even better yet. That's kind of neat. I'm 43. Mom still refers to someone playing games as playing Nintendo. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure Nintendo's happy about that. Their marketing agency, like they now have, it's like Kleenex. Most of them aren't Kleenex. Kleenex is a brand, or Dumpster is a brand. Nintendo, you know, I don't know. I haven't played console games in probably 10 years, but I have played a lot of PC games, you know. And part of that's probably because of YouTube, because I used to have a gaming channel a long time ago, which I should probably go back and delete because it's just depressing. Wearing out the old joysticks, yeah. Yeah, and they're like the Atari ones, just a stick, but you could get the ball to like stick on the end, and then you had a little more like you could like go really quick because there was some like track and field game where you wanted the ball so you could more easily like move it back and forth without like breaking your hand. Remember when you used to play games with me? Yes, I remember that. Yes, I remember. I remember playing, I think it was Borderlands 2, and then if powers went down, you would go over and instead of revive him, you would just stand there while he died. That was funny. Dumpster is a brand? Yes, I think it is. I'm pretty sure Dumpster is a brand. I know Kleenex is a brand. That's one of them. That's nice about Xbox, remote for Windows 10, Xbox 360, the same. Emulation much better. That would be nice. I mean, it's all Microsoft, so that makes sense. Uh, America means made in China. Yeah, that's right. Word dumpster was trademarked from 1936 to 2008. Oh, so is it like out of trademark now because it's been so long? Nintendo did a campaign against calling all game consoles Nintendo. They did a campaign, yes, I heard about that, but they didn't work. It didn't work. You still have enough people calling them Nintendos. He deserved it most of the time. Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's what he gets for wanting to play games with his friends. The more you know, yep. I think we're coming up on 52 and a half minutes. So if anyone's got any final questions, let me know. PS4 handles the emulation for most older consoles. Really? I I wonder, like, does PS5 play any of the previous ones? Play any of the previous games? I don't know why you'd want to. It's like I have a PlayStation 1 and a PlayStation 2 already somewhere. I think they're at my parents' house. If anyone's got final questions, let me know. We're running out the clock. Can I borrow that third screwdriver from the left? Sure. Sure. Which one? From which left? Your left? Stage left? What are we talking? Third from this side is an empty hole. You know what I noticed? I organize these screwdrivers, right? And they're here and they're easy to get to. And my wife will borrow one and it'll go into the house and then it never comes back. And I'll find it like 2 weeks later, like in like a kitchen drawer. Like, why is clearly this is my screwdriver. It's Harbor Freight and it's beat up and it's half destroyed. This is mine. I did this to this screwdriver. They just disappear. PS5 plays PS4 games and some PS3 2.1. Interesting. When's the next Gingery video? When the Zamek ingots come in? Oh, I'm being called for. Did that with my own screwdrivers, use them, put them down, then gone forever. Yeah, but if you buy like 1,000,000 of them, you can always see one from wherever you're standing. That's the goal. You know, you don't have to be organized if you have a lot of junk everywhere. But there's like a sweet spot because too much junk and then you can't see the junk you need because there's junk you don't need in the way. Okay, I do have to go now. I am being summoned. I hope everyone had a good day. This stream will be unlisted and put into the live stream playback playlist fairly soon. Thanks for coming. Friday, you'll see a new video. Abundance is greater than organization. That's right. That is very true. And look, I have all this space to clutter with more abundance of garbage that I don't need. I mean, if I look here, it looks like it's empty. You don't need to see all the junk on that side of that room. But thanks for all coming. I will see you guys later. Val's Forge, thanks for coming. Ralph, Mortifer, Feral Moon Designs, Novel Artisan, Flashy Flash. We'll see all you later. Alex Nessie. Everyone be good. And we'll see you later. Hopefully Friday for another video or maybe streams. Who knows? See you later. Where's the button? I always forget where the button is to. There we go. See ya.